Hi everyone, in this video I want to show a game between Grandmaster Parligras Mircea Emilian from Romania and FIDE Master Bomo Kigigha from Nigeria. The game was played in Batumi Chess Olympiad round 7. I started with d4, a move that allows the dark square bishop and the queen to enter the game. As we know, in an opening we need to develop our pieces, make castle and connect the rooks. Also, pawn moves are good only if they help us to develop a piece. Black replied with d5, c4, attacking d5, e6, defending, and this pawn move allows the dark square bishop to enter the game and locks the light square bishop. And this is the queen's gambit decline. Knight to c3, developing a piece, and the most played move for black in this position is knight to f6. In an opening we need to develop our knights first and then the bishops. Black instead played bishop to e7, controlling d8, h4 diagonal, not allowing the dark square bishop for white to go to the most forward square g5. White continued the development with bishop to f4, knight to f6, e3, and this pawn move allows the bishop to develop to d3 or e2. Black king is safe, a3, a pawn move that controls b4. Better was to develop the other knight to f3, c5, attacking the center, and white created an isolated pawn for black in the center. First he took on c5, d takes, bishop takes on c5, c takes on d5, and e takes on d5. Black would like to get rid of his weakness by pushing d4, and white needs to block it by placing a knight on d4. White developed his knight to f3, not allowing black to push d4, knight to c6, bishop to e2, developing another piece, and next is castle. In this position black can push d4 and get rid of his weakness. Instead he played a6, controlling b5 square, queen to c2. White only needs to make castle and his opening is finished. Bishop to d6. This is the move back that proposes the bishop exchange. And when we have contact between pieces, we should maintain this tension, unless it gives us an advantage. In this position, if white takes on d6, we will help black queen to go forward and improve her position. That's why in the game, white went forward to g5, pinning the knight, bishop to e6, developing the last minor piece, rook to d1, bringing the least active piece into the game, attacking d5 pawn for a second time. Better was castle. Black defends this pawn with bishop to e7 going back, and this d5 is defended 3 times. White opening is finished, his king is safe, rooks are connected, and all other pieces are developed. Since we are entering the middle game, the plan is different. White needs to start an attack, since all his pieces are ready for action. Black needs to find white weaknesses from the 5th and 6th rank and then attack them with his pieces. Weaknesses are backward, isolated, advanced, and double pawns. Also, weak squares should be targeted. Let's find these weaknesses in our position. Black has an isolated pawn on d5, a backward pawn on b7, which is hard to attack for the moment. He has some weak squares on a5, b6, c5, d6, e5, f5, g5, and h5. Also, black can push the pawns to b6 to control these weaknesses, but in the same time he will create new weaknesses. The same for these pawns. From all these weaknesses, white should attack the ones from the center, the small center and the big center. So in our case, white should focus his attention on c5, d6, d5, e5 and f5 weaknesses. Regarding the pieces, the rooks can double on the d file, the bishop from g5 is well placed, attacking the knight which defends d5. The other bishop from e2 can come to f3, putting more pressure on d5. The knight from c4 stands well on this position, attacking the weak pawn. The other knight from f3 can come to d4, blocking this pawn, and in some lines it can jump to f5, looking at d e6 and e7 squares. In the game, black played queen to a5, finishing his opening, knight to d4, rook a to c8, bringing the rook into the game on the same file with white queen, knight to f5, attacking the bishop. If black takes on f5, d5 will be very weak, and white attacks this pawn, in this case 3 times, and black defends it only once. In the game, black removed the bishop to d8. The rooks are not connected anymore. This bishop move leaves d6 weak square unprotected, and white jumps to this, attacking the rook. Rook to c7, bishop to f4, placing the bishop on the same diagonal with the rook. b5, trying to counterattack on the queen side, intending to play b4, but white continues his plan to attack d5, and he played bishop to f3, attacking this pawn for a third time. Before a takes on b4, knight takes on b4, defending this pawn a fourth time, and in the same time attacking white queen. Queen to b1, rook to d7, moving away from the bishop diagonal and putting pressure on the knight. Knight to f5, bishop to c7, proposing bishop exchange, and white took on the game. Better was to maintain the tension between the pieces with knight to e2, and if black takes on f4, white will recapture and his knight will be on a good position. White took, rook takes on c7. In this position, white target is d5. For the moment, white attacks it 3 times and black defends it 4 times. So, since there are no attacking moves, white needs to improve the position of the f-rook. And for this, he can double the rooks on the d-file. So in the game, we had rook to d2, g6. Black applies the principle of the neutralization by kicking the knight away. Also, this pawn move creates some dark square weaknesses around black king. Knight to d4, bishop to g4. Black wants to exchange pieces. Queen to d1, a good move. White maintains the tension, and if black takes, the queen will get on a better position. Also, the queen on d1 looks at d5 pawn. Bishop to c8, knight d to e2. d5 is attacked 4 times, and black defends it with bishop to b7. White can attack it one more time with knight to f4, which is the best move in this position. Instead, he played rook to d4. The purpose is to improve the rook position and, for the moment, pressures the knight from b4, which can be attacked again with the queen on b3. In some other lines, white can go to f4, attacking the knight which is unprotected. Rook to e8, bringing the rook into the game, and white attacks the knight one more time with queen to b3, knight to c6, attacking the rook. Rook to f4, black defended the knight with the king. This is a mistake from black. If you want to find the problem, you can pause the video and find it by yourself. The drawback of this move is that the king can be brought forward to f6 after the rook takes on f6, and after this the knight from c3 can fork the king and the rook, winning a pawn. So in the game we had rook takes on f6, king takes on f6, knight to d5 checking, to g7, knight takes on c7, queen takes on c7. What should white do in this position? Attack and attack. As we know, in any position, first we need to consider attacking moves, and if attacking moves are not working, we need to improve the position of our pieces. And for this, white brought his least active piece, the rook, into the game by attacking the knight from c6 with rook to c1. So you can see the knight is pinned, and if black queen gets out of the pin by playing queen to d7, white can take on c6, and after the bishop recapture, white double attacks the king with check and the bishop. Black is losing a piece. In the game instead, he played rook to c8, another mistake, and white can use the same motive to take on c6, and after the bishop recapture, give a check, the king goes back and the knight attacks one more time the bishop. Black is losing a piece. This is what happened in the game. After bishop takes, queen to c3 check, and black resigned due to knight to d4. So this was the game between Grandmaster Parligras Mircea Emilian from Romania and FIDE master Bomo Kigigha from Nigeria. I hope you found this video useful. Please watch other games from my channel and leave some comments and suggestions in the comments section. See you next time. Bye.